Okay, I'm redoing this video because I got fucked on Hot Wheels cartoon ads for like a really long time, so you can hear the back. And then I was worried that I wasn't gonna actually like release this video, so I just started like, stumbling on my words a lot and just not thinking right. The video just turned out badly. So for the second time in this channel's history, I will be having a lost media video, although I'll be basically repeating the points but better and probably go through it faster. Anyway, this is basically the positive and negative effects of ball storage and maybe pull storage. I think I might talk about it at the end. So, ball storage, does stuff to memory, skip the knucklehead token requirement. We end the game with 43 tokens instead of 52. Those 9 tokens being 5 ring challenges, and then Gesk Macho, Sandwich Macho, and then SCDA Guitar, Plank Sponge Bowl, and Depression Combat. And of those, the only one that people really care about is like Plank Sponge Bowl. Even then, beginners fucking hate Plank Sponge Bowl. But anyway, so I have a notepad of things. So we are going to go through them so that I don't get lost. And also, I'm using an ad blocker this time for the fucking video in the background for the music. So, as for no pause storage, well, the existence of no pause storage is pretty significant. The reason why is because it is a faster category, so you just have more time to run it. The pacing is a little better. So, essentially, it's just a better representation of the game than no major glitches, generally, because, again, like, just no ring challenges. You go from 5 to 0, and then, like, it's just so much easier to get into. People hate SCDA Guitar and Plank Sponge Bowl. They hate it so much. This category doesn't have them. In no major glitches, there are, like, no good, like, token alternatives. If you want to skip 2 tokens, then you want to do Rubber to Ring and Macho, but that's really slow, because then you also need to, like, go around casually once to hit the targets, and then, Ring is really slow, and it's just like, bruh. But, in no pause storage, you can do Guest Ring and Macho to skip, like, SCDA float. That's, like, the worst thing in the run, is, like, SCDA floating block. And then at that point, you might as well also skip 3 meter as well. Not 3 meter skip, but just like 3 meter, but yeah. But yeah, like, it's just a better like, for the average person, a better representation of the game. Because it doesn't have Sandwich Ring and Macho, so it's just like faster pace at the beginning. And then it just doesn't have, like, Guess, Ring, and Macho. Especially if you weren't going to do Guess Sums anyway, then, like, those, And then it doesn't have Fake Ring, which you can just ghost through a ring and guess 10% of the time. Is stupid. Not for each individual ring, but, like, throughout a whole ring challenge, there's, like, a 10-ish% chance that you can just get ghosted. But yeah. Essentially, people, like, if you ask the average person in the community, their favorite category would easily be no pause storage, like, most of the time. If we had a vote for, factoring in watching and playing, which one was your favorite category? I think if everybody in the community voted for that, for all of main and extensions categories, I reckon no pause storage would have at least 50% of the votes. Like, compared to several other categories, it would have 50% of the total, I reckon, at least. So that's pretty damn significant. And also, no major glitches got fucked regardless, which just made no pause storage better. No major glitches had its identity stolen, effectively, because of, like, manliness point issues, because of BBBH backwards, right? So we were just not getting enough manlies, and then Rub-a-Dub Skip really did it in. Because now, you only sometimes have enough for Bowl and Now That We're Men, but then you sometimes don't, so it just fucks the route up. And even if you always have enough, then you have to grind an SCDA, and if you don't have enough, then you're losing a bunch of time, and you can't do Depression Combat early, which saves time, because you don't have upgraded Bowl. So you just get fucked, basically, right? And, well, that's for like top, like high level, but yeah. So now, current no major glitches. Now it's even closer to no pause storage because the early game is literally identical except you do 2 extra sandwich driving tokens. Which, by the way, sandwich out of bounds is really hard. Even bulldozer is compared to doing nothing is very hard. In No Major Glitches, 3 opportunities to do it, and because it's one of those like kind of feel-based tricks, it's toxic to do 3 times. In No Pause Storage, you can only do it twice, which is still annoying, but like it's so much better than 3. I mean, Jesus Christ. And if you're not doing it, then you're just basically doing nothing. You're just ring and macho, you're just doing like nothing. So yeah, so they're identical then until Now the Men, which you can 2-frame a token, which you're only going to do if you're on OG. And if you're on OG, you're probably playing No Pause Storage. I don't want this to come off as like No Pause Storage is objectively better, but it like No Major Glitches lost a lot of its identity from not having BBBH backwards. And you do combat early, but like nobody really cares about combat. And you do guess macho, which like only and ring, but macho is only really notable if you do guess jumps. The overall pacing of No Major Glitches is arguably better, but arguably also not because Sandwich Driving 102 is just so long. Like, this pacing would definitely be better than No Pause Storages, but because of that one thing, it arguably isn't. So let me show you, like, just BBH backwards. A lot of people probably know it by now, but, like, oh wait, I forgot, yeah. So you would do BBBH slide jumps, and then later you come back and then like you do a damage boost on the thing to get guitar storage, and then you do this. But normally you never see this unless you're just not doing slide jumps but also doing forwards. But yeah, and then you do some stuff, and then you have to enable the thing, and then you do the challenge, and then you got a checkpoint spot, and then you get to do throwing fruit for free, which is cool. And then you do some cool backtracking shenanigans. It's just really cool, and it saves like 45 seconds. Like, it's pretty bussin'. But yeah, it's just like it's just not in the route anymore for high level. And you could say, oh, come on, that only applies to the high level, right? If you were doing BBBH backwards in this category, you need to do BBBH slide jumps, and it discourages a lot of people trying to learn the game. That's the other thing, too. Basically, what I'm trying to get across is that No Pause Storage literally just, like, it's, like, less sluggish. It's just easier to learn. There are more backup tokens you can do. There are less things that would stop you from running it. Like, less obstacles in the way. And people just generally prefer to watch and play it. Like, I'm just trying to get that across as not objectively better, but I'm just saying that it is people's favorite category, and that is a significant positive to ball storage. And NMG got fucked anyway. You do get to do some cool lag clips, which I'll show now. It's the fastest non-cheat category to do the lag clips. If I can show you it here. But yeah, you can. It's only worth doing this at the high level and No Major Glitches if you just aren't gonna do BBBH backwards. So you did a cool lag clip, and then this prevents the Merv from like shooting the targets here because he literally doesn't even spawn. He can't even theoretically shoot them, which is actually surprisingly nice. And then you do this lag clip, and then you're done. It saves like 20 seconds or like 22 seconds or something if you know, something like that. But yeah, that's like the end of the lag clip. It is cool, but just nowhere near as cool as BBBH backwards. And then next up is, fuck, I clicked off all extras. But basically, all extras, it wasn't really looked at much back when No Major Glitches was any %. Because it didn't change too much from any %, like, well, yeah, now No Major Glitches. All extras, compared to No Pause Storage, though, has a few more differences. And, again, it's just shorter. Like, you're expected to play closer to Sob, so it encourages, like, implementing cool stuff sooner. Also, In all extras, you can only do sandwich out of bounds once. In no major glitches, you still would theoretically have the option to do it 3 times, but even if you didn't get that chance, you still have to do it twice, so it's still like, bruh. So, you know. But all extras just has like a cool lag clip and plank that is not in many categories. All extras, no major glitches does have one cool thing to it, which is that now the main combat is actually fast. But I think only, like, high-level players would be doing that anyway, but it would probably save, like, 20 seconds or something. But yeah, all extras is just a little better, so people just, you know, because it's just, like, it changes the extras a little more than it does in No Major Glitches, just, like, a little bit more, and it just makes it a little more unique, a little more interesting, and No Major Glitches, all extras, was reaching times, you know, relatively, at the time at least, relatively close to the 2-hour mark. So it did make things a little, you know, discouraging. Like, this, just having a shorter version of all extras just makes it more accessible. And again, because it still has the boons of no port storage. Just like a slightly easier category to get into. So it's just a slight win for ball storage fans. And then we have early powers and early powers all extras. These categories would literally not exist without ball storage, so this is actually a big deal, right? I think on either GameCube or PS2, if you use the unlock on moves cheat, I think it does unlock the guitar challenge tasks, but not on Xbox or something. But that still wouldn't be enough, because then, yeah, you get to access levels early, but those versions can't even lag clip, so you can't do cool stuff with that. Basically, we did used to have a really old early powers in 2016 called Power Percent, and it was just, yeah, that, but obviously it was before Mindy Skip. You, like, couldn't do, like, shit, right? You couldn't do shit with it. Like, it was basically the only real reason it existed was, like, if you're on GameCube or PS2, you could do guitar challenges on the way, which meant, like, you could move, like, Sandwich 102 to, like, later in the run if you wanted, but primarily it was just so you could save loads on the guitar challenges, and you could do Creek completely for free. Well, not the actual, like, platforming, but, like, the actual buttons, it was completely free. So that point went from heavy reset points. Some people didn't even run the game specifically because of that, because they were a bunch of crybabies. So instead, you could just do it for free. And it was close enough to any percent at the time to where it's just like, yeah, just run this. It's basically any percent, but it's like better early game. I'll just play this. But yeah, no, that was just pointless looking back at it. It got deleted in like 2017. But this is different. This is just collecting every end level token plus an extra one in plan because it's actually fast to grab. So you end the run with 19 tokens. The pacing is fucked, but it is a very cool category to watch, even if it is cancerous at the top level. And even cancerous, arguably, to get into in general, like at the beginner level, like when you're like higher intermediate level is when it like peaks, in my opinion, because then you're still doing a lot of lag clips, but not like the absolutely worst ones, and you're not too optimized, so like you're not worried too much about like optimization. But yeah, it's decent for beginner levels and still like okay to play at top level, but like, yeah, it's mostly just really good to watch because I mean some of this stuff is in other categories, but like it's just best represented in early powers. This has a lot of lag clips and just cool shit. The reason why the pacing is so bad is because of sliding and driving levels being unchanged, but you don't backtrack in them, so you know. But anyway, yeah, cool lag clip, and then like 3K. It's, like, pretty hard for some reason, but cool lag clip. You do, like, a double lag clip here, look, like, it's fucking cool. And then BBBH only do end-level tokens, so it's, like, pretty fast, and then, but then Rockstar's really long. Now the men... Spew boost, all that bullshit. Nope, we are doing a lag clip. Although this lag clip is fucking toxic. I can't be asked to explain why, but... Because even if you don't care for this category, its existence is not a negative. Oh, I just remembered something for the bad section of ball storage that I'll just say now because I'll probably forget. ETU is less justifiable to exist with Mindy Skip now being a thing, but that's so minor because no one cares about the category. Also, this category is also just good if you just like don't want to do like 2 rubber dub skips, 2 sandwich out of bounds, or if you just don't want to like do, I don't know, like, floating block skip, or, like, SCDA floating block even. If you lose ice physics glitch, it does not matter in this category, like, at all. Like, you know, no 3-meter jumps, no fucking, like, guess jumps, like, you know, just cool. And you enter these, I don't know if I said this for the no pause storage thing, but you enter segments faster in no pause storage as well, which is, you know, so it helps you in the long term get more consistent at levels like Nathormen. It also kind of applies to this, but not really, because it's like a different category. But yeah, then this stuff is the same, and then you do some plank stuff. This is the only notable, not the only notable thing, but there's this cool clip. And then there is a lag clip that is exclusive to this category and no pause storage. And I quite like it. It is pretty cool. We call it Sponge Glide, because like, what else are we going to call it? We can't call it GGC because there already is a GGC, and it actually is in some categories. And it's probably what you should be doing on 360 in the first place, like, compared to, like, the Sponge Glide one. But yeah. This would not exist without, and again, even if you don't like this category, its existence is neutral because it's on extensions, so like, who cares if it, you know, it's on extensions. So at its worst, it doesn't negatively affect anything, and at its best, it is a cool category that is fun to play and watch, and it just gives people yet another option and yet another thing to just think about positively with the game, so it's just a good thing. And early powers all extras is kind of cool, because the time difference between this and early powers is bigger than any other regular versus all extras variant of category. So all extras, so Hundo and all tokens have like a 6.5 minute difference in my sum of best. In for no pause storage versus all extras, the difference is like 9 minutes, and in this category, it's like 13 minutes, or it's like 14, 15 minutes. Yeah, 15 minutes. Right? Because this, in all extras, like, there are more extras that are just, like, out of the way, so they're actually just a lot cooler in all extras than they are in Hundo, because, like, you can't, like, backtrack for nearly as many of them, so you have to get them in very slow ways that look cool. This category is even more so the case, because you're just doing end-level tokens. So some levels are still, like, you still collect things the same, but yeah, it's just, like, adding quite a, you know, I think these extras are very cool for the most part, and magnetic pickup is actually in this category, unlike all extras, which is cool. I mean, it's in Hundo. It's a much bigger deal in Hundo, but yeah, like, yeah, pretty cool category. I like it. It's very niche. Nobody plays it, but I think it's pretty agreed that it's, like, a cool category to watch. And everybody likes early powers, even if some people don't, like, play it. Like, I think it's the general consensus is that, like, early powers good. Early powers all extras. Not gonna run it, but still good. You know, the positive additions to the game. And at worst, they're just like, no one cares. Not negative. In any way. Anyway, so here's some more benefits, right? The fact that this exists in such a linear game, like, it's easy to have like a, like, X thing is never gonna happen mentality, but, like, this game has been linear for so long. The token route in no major glitches literally has not changed. If we're talking the specific tokens you collect as opposed to how you collect them, no major glitches has been the same since 2016, and no pause storage has been the same since 2020, since pause storage got discovered a little over 4 years ago. It's actually crazy. And having tricks like this shows, again, like, never say never. Like, at the time, bowl storage was the biggest SpongeBob speedrunning time save thing, like, ever, right? It only got beaten by Rehydrated's taxi glitch, but pause storage, which we found only, like, 7 months later or something like that, I think it might even save more than taxi glitch, potentially, arguably. They're close, at the very least, so it's just fucking crazy. Holy shit, someone got 136.29 Karen in 120 star. That's like 8 seconds off the world record or something. That's actually fucking crazy. Damn, don't sleep on Karen. It's pretty good at the game. Anyway, just saw that in the shoutouts channel on the SM64 server. That's fucking nuts. Anyway, Yeah, you never know what we'll find in future. We could find more good time saves with this. We have looked and we haven't actually found anything, but we could find like a way to like skip SCDA floating block like in its entirety. So if you lose ice physics glitch, it doesn't matter. Or like, because we could like move a trampoline platform like closer to us because we can move platforms. I mean, obviously that's incredibly unlikely, but still, we have a lot of combinations that we could do. Like, that could theoretically happen. We could also, there's also the possibility of like maybe deleting a ring challenge or like making the game like either skipping it or making the game think that we're doing a time challenge when we're actually doing ring. The way the Mindy works is probably not possible, but again, never say never. Maybe make a combat so that if we kill like one wave of enemies, it thinks we killed all of them, and then we get a token. Or the token could just be made because it's just like invisible and intangible. But we could just make it tangible, in theory. It just gives a lot of hope. Even in situations where the game is like dead and there's like no time saves, like right now, there's been no time saves for fucking ages, like a year, except for like a few minor things. It's still like possible that like one day we could find something and it just shakes everything up again. The good thing about this game being incredibly linear and you a lot of categories play the same for long periods of time. Well, a benefit of that is that when you learn something for one category, it likely applies to other categories, and then like you can rely on muscle memory more, blah blah blah. It's easier to get into certain categories. But another big thing is like, if we find something with bulk storage, it'll probably affect many categories. Bulk storage as a whole is banned in no major glitches, just so we can stop a domino effect from occurring. Like, imagine like 20-second time save, 20-second time save, 15-second time save, 50-second time, and it's like, uh-oh, like, fuck, dude. There's too much of a time difference between Xbox and GameCube at that point. Like, at that point, it's effectively a major glitch, so we just can't. We didn't ban just Mindy Skip, we banned bulk storage as a whole, which I 100% think is justifiable. So yeah, those are basically, like, all of the goods. Just as a recap, just easier to learn, more accessible, people like playing and watching it more, and same with all extras, and it gives us hope, a lot of hope, for the future, and it's just, like, it looks really cool, and it's just, just cool and interesting, and it's just very unique, and early powers all extras wouldn't exist without it. So those are the positives. Now for the negatives. It is English Xbox exclusive, and it works on 360. This is so bad. It is so bad, right? It is so bad. Because, right, no one owned this game. No one owned an OG Xbox as a kid. No one did. And no one owned a copy of Xbox Movie as a kid. If most people had it on GameCube, had it on PS2, you might have had it on PS2, but you did not have it on fucking Xbox, bro. Let's be real. You did not. Right? And you could have had a 360. A lot of people did. But what if you sold it by now? You had an arcade, so it died, or it could have just died anyway because you didn't take good care of it, blah, blah, blah. And even then, why would you have an Xbox copy of Movie by the time the 360 was out? Unlikely. There's a chance that you, like, bought the game on Xbox to play it casually, just not knowing it was the best version, and then you went to speedrun it and then found out it was the best version. But let's be real, you probably didn't do that. You're probably gonna buy an Xbox, or at the very least a copy of Movie specifically for speedrunning this game. But it's so inaccessible, bro. Like, I'll complain about this later, but people were like, well, it doesn't matter that bulk storage is not possible on GameCube and PS2 because Xbox is basically pay to win anyway, bruv. Everybody would just play on Xbox anyways. Like, no, you're fucking stupid. Because, right? Most people are going to get into this game on Dolphin. And they have to play a category, as we've established, that is way harder to get into and has way less substitute tokens and just has more things that could get someone to quit, and is longer, has more of a dedication. Like, it's unfortunate. Like, I really wish it wasn't the case, but it just is. Like, most people getting into this game cannot play what is considered the best category. And if you do, even if you play on 360, again, you gotta make sure you don't buy an arcade. You need to make sure that your hard drive is official, or else it won't play OG games. And then on OG, you need to make sure it's a late 2003 or later, because otherwise the clock capacitor will leak if it hasn't leaked already. Plus, the other capacitors can just leak on any of the Xboxes. Your disk drive might just be worn out, dusty, fucked in some way, shape, or form. It's just like so much can go wrong, you know? And the OG controller is so bad for movie runs because the fucking token frames are so bad. And like English Xbox, like really, like you can't even like let the foreign play. I mean, we hardly have any foreign players, but like still, like that was a disgusting bip. I don't know if it picked up on the mic, but yeah, it almost sounded like I threw up. Anyway, it's just fucking annoying, right? That hurts the game. I don't know if I'm emphasizing it properly. It hurts the game significantly. I know people who just won't run the game because they can't play no port storage. I just, like, you know? And we can't allow Zemu because it's fucking terrible. It crashes all the time. The paddy wagon physics are wrong. The loads are way too fast. And even if we did allow it, we'd have to ban lag anyway. So it wouldn't even be, like, be able to compete as easily. And because this category is shorter, the differences between 360 and OG are more felt. Especially because the lag clip, the Sponge Glide lag clip, is, like, quite hard on 360, and you definitely wouldn't... Most people would not want to do that shit. So yeah, that's so... I don't know if I emphasize it properly, but that is such a massive issue. Now, let's get to another bad thing. Mindy Skip has a 20 to 25% fail rate. And you lose like 40 to 50 seconds if it doesn't work. And it's literally no fault of your own, unless you somehow fucked it up, but very unlikely. I've only fucked it up like a couple times in my career on accident. Yeah, it's just... That is way worse than Fake Ring. Especially if you get a lucky Fake Ring, which might sound stupid, but if you get like the first possible instance of a Fake Ring, you only lose like 20 seconds or something, and even like a couple of the later ones. Fake Rings on average lose like, I don't know, like 50 to like a minute 30. So more than Mindy Skip, but like, it's in a longer category where more mistakes are allowed anyway. Mindy Skip fails at least twice as often and loses potentially more time. But on average, roughly the same amount of time, maybe a bit less, but it's still a much bigger issue. Literally no fault of your own. It's so fucking unfair. Do you have any idea? When I was grinding for like 106, my first 3 ever 106 paces into Knucklehead died a Mindy Skip. 3 of them. And yeah, maybe I would have choked in Neptune, but I've done it plenty of times. Maybe statistically, I wouldn't have choked Neptune. Statistically, they all would have been PBs. So, you know. That's incredibly AIDS. It usually doesn't make people go from like, oh yeah, I love this category to I'm never playing it again, but it's just like, it fucking sucks. Ball storage is a really discouraging tech to like look for stuff, right? I don't want to go too in detail with this, but like, you don't understand, right? Like the chains they have to do, I won't go too in detail, but like costumes, SpongeBob's costumes change it. Whether or not you've entered the level for the first time to like watch the in-game cutscene that's placed at the beginning of most levels, like that changes things. Dying versus reloading multiple times potentially. Like sometimes something will crash, but like not always. For some reason, unlocking the task cheat seems to like prevent crashes sometimes for some fucking reason. Like... So, an effect might occur halfway through, like, a driving level, but people just don't check it because it's too late in for them to want to check. Like, effects seem to practically not exist on foreign versions of Xbox for some reason. PS2 has completely different ball storage effects. It appears to tackle a completely different part of memory. Ball storage is literally non-existent on GameCube. It does not exist in any capacity whatsoever. A lot of results are either no effect or crash. My Xbox crashed so much from looking for for ball storage stuff. It struggles to turn on now. It struggled to turn on for 24 hours, and I have not tried it since. I buried it practically. It's in a drawer somewhere, but like, yeah. I've tested ball storage on it so much that it crashed so many times that it's now refusing to turn on. And my copy of movie's stuck in the disc tray. But, and my second copy. But yeah. Oh yeah, this is a very small thing, but I think OG/NTSC saves less in no pause storage than it does in no major glitches because you just do, like, one less driving level. I think it's, like, barely any different, but technically that is a benefit. Anyway, yeah, it's just fucking annoying, like, I did an entire sheet. I did literally everything myself. Like, I did for two ball chains, which, by the way, you can do 3 warp chains, but I did 2 ball chains. For every single warp in Depression combat, every combo I could have for normal costume and in Depression combat, no effect on any of them. And I did the same thing for Rubber the Ring, and they were all either no effect or crashes. I went into more detail than I meant to, but yeah, it's so discouraging. So discouraging. It's encouraging and discouraging. Like, it's always like, oh, dude, I feel like looking for ball storage stuff. People try it for literally 50 minutes, and then they just never do it again, because it's, like, the most discouraging fucking thing ever. So there are, like, thousands of combinations, potentially, and, well, not potentially, there are thousands of combinations. What sliding and driving task you warp to matters, too. Like, it's just fucking insanity. And I think at least on PS2, it was proven that, like, some effects, like, would crash unless they were on, like, a save file that, like, got tokens naturally. It's just, like, fucking, it was just ridiculous. And as far as we're aware, Patrick costumes don't affect anything, but they could. We haven't tried, like, cheat costumes, because why would we? But, like, maybe that could lead to something for cheat categories, but who's gonna try that, you know? But yeah, it's incredibly discouraging. Anyway, the next point. Theoretical guitar early would ruin no pause storage and all extras. And that is true, right? And it would also arguably fuck early powers and early powers all extras, but, like, it depends. Basically, we know the ball storage can turn 0s to 1s, and whether or not you have enough tokens for guitar, or any of the moves, it's the difference between a 0 and a 1. And now ball storage seems to affect platforming levels significantly less than sliding and driving levels. And even then, like, the platforming levels that get affected the most, by far, floating block. We've hardly seen effects for platforming levels outside of floating blocks. So, yeah. But they do exist, and it's possible that there is no ball storage effect, or maybe it's like plain sponge, which is like one of the last extras, so it wouldn't matter regardless. But I'm just saying, we are one ball storage effect away, in theory, to ruining no ball storage, because you would approach the run the exact same in no pause storage until SCDA. Then you would treat SCDA, you would just grab the end level token. Dennis, Sunday, Gesk, and Dennis 2 are all exactly the same as they always would be. And then you don't do Gesk 2, and then you just do early powers plank, and then that's the run. Like, and then the rest is just no pause storage stuff. So it is just pretty much objectively worse early powers, essentially, because, like, yeah, it's got more substance to it, but the pacing is absolutely fucked. Like, you have to do Sandwich 102 as one of the tokens, even though the total token amount would be like 31 or something ridiculous like that. That's fucking stupid. Like, it would just be early powers, except you can't show off like more than half the fucking cool lag clips, and the pacing's worse. Like, other than needing cheats, early powers just would be better. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, if it ever got found, no pause storage would cease to exist. We can't justify having it exist anymore. No major glitches is good, because one of the reasons why it's good is because we can future-proof. We can future-proof. If there's a horrible glitch that gets found, or something like, not entirely, but just like, because it wouldn't really affect no major glitches much anyway, but like, something like that. It's just like, we just ban it. But no pause storage. We can't just have like, no pause storage, no fucking guitar early. That's stupid. We can't do that, dude. We just can't. That's stupid. No pause storage, the best category, would cease to exist. And we are one ball storage effect away from that being reality. Isn't that fucking scary? So unironically, I genuinely highly advise you never ever look for guitar early. I mean, on like PS2 and GameCube, like, yeah, sure, that's whatever. But otherwise, no. If you somehow found it, I would unironically encourage gatekeeping it and just never revealing it. Like, actually, unironically, I'm being so serious right now. I don't care if that makes me sound weird. Like, no. It would literally only be negative. It would not bring a single positive. It would, like, objectively only be negative. Even if you don't care for no pause storage, you're not going to run this new no pause storage. You're just going to run early power. So it's, like, literally, like, no. And then we'd have to have a debate on whether extensions category should be put back on main or just fuck the leaderboards. It's fucking stupid. Anyway. It would also fuck all extras for, like, the same reasons. And it could hurt early power. I highly doubt this would happen, but for some reason, if people still thought that no pause storage was better because it doesn't have a cheat code to it, then early powers would be the one that most likely cease to exist. But I can't imagine that would happen. I'm just saying, like, worst case scenario. Now we are getting to the community side of things. We had 3 votes for whether or not no major glitches should be moved to extensions, which the correct answer is no, for the record. Alright, this is the part where I should just play. Yeah, footage in the background. Yeah. Alright, so. We had a vote very shortly after the existence of Mindy Skip to have no major glitches be put on extensions, right? And for some reason, we let anybody vote, not just people who are runners. We let anybody vote. My brother voted. Like, and people from, like, for example, like the battle community who had not run movie, so they didn't have the runner role, they were allowed to vote. They do not know that much about the game, so obviously they were going to be like, oh, well, no pause storage is objectively better, therefore no major glitches, extensions, Lamau. That's not me, like, shitting on them, because, like, they just, like, don't know the game as well as us, but I'm just saying, like, that, it was just stupid for us to even allow non-runners to be able to vote in the first place, completely moronic. And I'm shitting on my old self, like, my old self, actual fucking, absolute fucking moron. Absolute moron. 0 brain cells. He should die. But yeah, the first vote, we had an overwhelming majority vote to move no major glitches to extensions, and then we basically kind of like half vetoed it at the last minute, and we made it a variable. So now, no major glitches and no pause storage were on the same exact leaderboard, except there was a variable for Mindy Skip yes or no, despite them being different fucking categories, and despite them, for me, basically, Mindy Skip saves less the better at the game that you are. So for me, it saves a little over 18 minutes. So that's a pretty big difference even for me, you know? And here's the thing, right? Like, people just think of it as like, no sandwich 102, no pause storage, objectively better, brev. And it's like, I 100% understand why you would think no pause storage is better. I think it's better, but it's not objectively better. And I will get more into that in a minute. But yeah, like, yeah, the variable was not the way to go. Honestly, it might have even been better for it to be on extensions than a variable. That was so fucking moronic. And then we had a second vote a few months later. And then the options were to either have it be its own category, no major glitches, keep it as a variable, or move it to extensions. And it was closer this time, but it was still a majority vote for keeping it as a variable, which is absolutely moronic. And then finally, I think in early 2021, if I recall correctly, we had our third and final vote, overwhelming majority vote, to have no major glitches as a separate category for on main from no pull storage. Finally. And now, I just need to bitch about this, right? It is a wrong opinion to think that no major glitches should be on extensions. It is an incorrect opinion. Like, while I can't say objectively wrong, it is a wrong opinion. Right? Did I say, I don't think I said this. In general discussion, which is like a runner-only thing, and the news channel for that channel, we used to do like, oh, we are looking to have a discussion about this. Here are the positives and negatives of doing the thing. And this time it was obviously moving Mindy skip, no major glitches to extensions. So I put down my general thoughts on what the positives and negatives were, just so people have like a starting ground, right? And I do think like that kind of idea works, but like all of my reasons to have no major glitches on extensions were literally all of them were no pull storage is better. Like, really? Actual moron. And, like, here's the thing, right? No major glitches should have been protected anyway. It should not have even been allowed to have a vote until, like, at least, like, 3 months or something after the trick got found. We had a vote, like, I think at most a week after it got found, right? I think it was at most a week. Or at least significant discussion started with it in at most a week. And it was just fucking stupid. Like, we were doing that under the, well, first of all, we were thinking the no pull storage was objectively better, but second, we also did it under the, so it was like, oh, of course we're gonna find Mindy skip on PS2 and Xbox, GameCube, of course we are. No, it's been 4 years and we still haven't, and we haven't gotten any closer. Like, what are you on about? Like, we should not have even been allowed to have the vote until a few months in. And the variable thing, with hindsight, but we still should have realized it at the time, was the absolute worst way that we could have handled it. Absolute worst way. And now, this is also practically a fact, even if it's technically not objective. Like, this is also just true, right? For as long, no matter what you think of no major glitches, for as long as Mindy skip does not exist on GameCube and PS2, well, maybe PS2 arguable, but definitely GameCube, for as long as there's no fast, consistent method of it on GameCube, no major glitches has to exist on main. And if you disagree, you are wrong. You are wrong. Do you have any idea how many people try to get into this game and then they can't run the best category in most people's eyes, and then it's just like, oh, well, I don't want to do SCD guitar, I don't want to do playing SpongeBob, it runs too long, I don't want those shitty loads, I don't want 30 FPS levels, don't want to have to do BBBH jumps. Like, it's so fucking bad. Like, it's so discouraging. It's such an inaccessible beginner category. And no pull storage is not, other than it being Xbox exclusive, right? Again, just no matter how you feel, it has to be on main. It has to, until we find a consistent GameCube Mindy skip, right? And now this leads me to my next thing, of like people like, well, actually, it wouldn't matter if it was possible on GameCube because Xbox is the fastest category, is the fastest console anyway. And it's like, yes, it does matter. It literally matters, right? Because you'd still be able to do the same tokens. You'd still be able to do like the same shit, but with like 30 FPS levels and worse loads. But you'd still be able to do the same stuff, right? Like. And then the other stupid thing that people say is like, if you're the kind of guy to, like, not run a category just because it's on extensions, then you're fucking stupid. And it's like, okay, people do care too much about that, but it is common sense that humans are just... Okay, look, right? It is a secondary leaderboard. It is a secondary leaderboard. Of course, people are not going to respect it as much automatically, because if it's not our main, it's for a fucking reason. They're still good enough to exist, but they're not good enough to be our main. They don't represent the game as well. They might be hard to get into. They might only be good on Xbox because of, lag clips. They might just be extremely arbitrary, or it might just have, very exclusive things that are difficult to learn. Just things like that, right? I'm just, there's no... how can you not see why somebody would be discouraged from running a category that's on extensions compared to if you're on main? Otherwise, right, if you think that shouldn't discourage people, why don't we have all the extensions categories on main? Why aren't they on main? What's that? Because they're different and the main categories are better representations of the game? It's almost like I fucking said that just now. Do you hear yourself, bro? I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying 100 times. Can you really not see what I'm saying, though? Obviously, automatically, people are going to be less inclined to run something if it's on extensions. Because it is not the main leaderboard. Whether or not you like that, that's how humans are, right? That's literally how humans are. And also, even if you're that type of person to think that it doesn't matter what board it's on, then why do you want it on extensions? If it doesn't matter, then why do you want it off of main? Clearly, you want it off of main because what is on which leaderboard does matter. You're a fucking hypocrite. Oh my god, I'm getting pissed off now. But, it's so true. Anyway, I think I said everything I wanted to say in regards to that. It's basically just, positives, easy to get into, it created categories, blah, blah, blah. And then the negatives is just, how the community reacted to it was so fucking stupid. And the Xbox exclusivity is actually cringe as fuck. I guess I could briefly touch on pull storage. Unlike bulk storage, it's actually been, fully figured out. We fully understand it and everything. No longer being able to call no pull storage any percent is kind of lame, but that's, very minor. It is the GameCube version is an extremely hard category to get into. Extremely hard, because it's very hard. It doesn't represent the game that well, because it's just, doing the same tokens over and over again, blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't matter. It just exists in its own corner. It's not hurting anybody. Except, GameCube pull storage is allowed for, 100% on all tokens, and it currently doesn't matter, because even then, it's not even theoretically faster on Xbox, but if we ever allowed, loadless, it probably, it would be faster. And keep in mind, that tech is very, 99% of the time, if you fuck it up, then, if you just make a little fucky-wucky in the one in, the 20-plus times you'd have to do it throughout the run's dead. A little tricky, it requires token frames and stuff, or, ejecting the memory card, which, by the way, is a pain in the ass on Dolphin, and on Wii, you just hear and on, on GameCube, the loads are even worse, and then, we banned Nintendo because it loads cutscenes too fast. So yeah, just discouraging all around. So yeah, that would fucking ruin Hundo and all tokens in theory. If we ever allowed loadless, but that's hyper niche. The actual main complaint is Xbox pull storage and the community arguments with GameCube and Xbox pull storage. This divide that we had, this malicious I mean, I'm bitching. I was saying, oh, people are wrong if they think this and stuff like that. That's how heated it can get, man. I mean, I'm still sticking to my, to what I said. You are fucking wrong if you think no major glitches beyond extensions in its current state. But yeah, so Xbox pull storage, you either need to fill up the fucking hard drive, which means you can't use it casually, and by the way, you would need to, burn music files to the hard drive, and disc readers are getting even more expensive and more rare as time goes on, because it's just becoming more and more niche as digital becomes the standard more. My second PC did have a disk reader until it fucking killed itself. And I have a laptop that can write disks, but when's that gonna die? I mean, that thing's been trashed since like 2017, and it's still kicking. The trackpad doesn't work anymore, but it's still kicking. But yeah, like, that's what I mean. Like, so either do a thing that no one is ever gonna do, or mod your Xbox. So you're gonna mod your Xbox, right? But then you basically have to mod your Xbox to do it, which is fucking stupid. We ban it from all tokens and hundo because it's stupid. So the only reason why it's inoffensive is because it's in its own little corner, but it did spark arguments. And it's like, oh, Xbox is like pay to win anyway. You would want to mod your console regardless. It still is technically possible to do legitimately. And because it's in his own corner, people stop caring. I'm just saying, though, in my personal opinion, I don't think that it should be allowed to exist. But in its current state, it's not really hurting anybody. It's just more of just, like, the community arguments have started and stuff like that. And as for the GameCube one, it did cause arguments because of, like, you know, because it could affect, you know, hundo and stuff. But it was just like, could we, like, people were even trying to argue that we should be, because you have to eject the memory card is technically file tampering or, like, hardware manipulation. Obviously, it's not those things, but, you know. But yeah, I mean, that's very minor. I'm basically just complaining about Xbox. Also, I guess I'll go into a little more detail about the ETU thing now. ETU is literally just any percent, basically, with no pull storage, though. But, yeah, you unlock tasks early. You have the unlock all task cheat. So you just warp around all over the place just doing stuff. It was kind of like a pseudo Mindy Skip category, kind of. But now Mindy Skip exists, so it's even, like, people don't even care about it anyway, and it's incredibly complicated, and you have to route it yourself, and, like, yeah. Also, Rub It Up Skip, like, fucked it anyway. Like, it kind of sucks now, but, yeah. But, yeah, it's more about, like, the community stuff, like, the community, I mean, this community has some very toxic moments in the general discussion channel. There's always lengthy discussions that just lead into a terrible delete the boards joke. But that's a frustration. I don't like this, like, community divide that we tend to have when we just disagree on something. I'm still sticking to what I said earlier, though, but I'm just, you know. Because that is very much an exception. Like, how can you even have those opinions? But, yeah, we just get very heated, and it's just, like, bolt storage and pull storage are just two examples of just, like, having this, like, great divide that just, like, makes us feel like we're not a proper community anymore, you know? And it really sucks. Until everything dies down and we're all cool again, but, you know, it's just really unnecessarily toxic. That's why now, like, a good amount of things are just handled by the mods, and we just don't have that many votes anymore, because then it's just easier to just have, like, discussions between mods. You know, the representatives of the game, in that sense. But yeah, we've had a lot of arguments over the years. We've had the arguments about, like, because we used to have floating block ILs, but then we had arguments about how they should be timed and whether or not you should be allowed to do buffers and stuff like that. And then we've had arguments about whether or not there should be a Neptune IL. Because there's a Frogfish and Dennis 1 and 2 one, so we basically have to have one for Neptune, except not really, because cheap percent is that, but then it's still good for people who are on PS2 and GameCube, but they still are at a disadvantage because the cutscene loads slower on PS2 and GameCube that you have to watch, and it's just like, you know. And then there were arguments about whether or not you should be able to, like, take your cheap percent time and submit it to a Neptune IL, because that'd technically be run duplication, which SRC doesn't like, but it, like, yeah, it just caused a lot of arguments. Oh, by the way, one more thing. A negative to all extras and early powers all extras. it isn't just failing Mindy Skip. For some reason, those two categories... Actually, I think we fixed it in Early Powers All Extras. Might have. So this might just be for all extras. You set a ball storage in Depression instead of, no cheese or plank. And because of that, there's a chance that the game can crash loading into Neptune. And I don't know. I don't know if it's like... If that happens, then you get a weird effect where Mindy Skip always works, but it crashes in Knucklehead, in Neptune, or if it was... Or if... Basically, there might be an additional luck element to it, or it could just be replacing it. I don't know. But that's something that's really stupid. Anyway, that's everything. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.